welcome back to my channel. So today we are finally doing something that I have been planning for a really long time. We are going to be making a crocheted cardigan. I have this basket full of blocks, I keep saying blocks like it's a quilt, full of squares that I have crocheted. I've been working on this for a while. It's made up of these sunflower granny squares, and then I have solid colors of yellow, brown, and orange. This is what you're gonna need. You're gonna need a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, a G crochet hook, my favorite hook, and then the yarn of your choice, whichever colors you want. And the brand that I've been using for this project is Caron Simply Soft, except for the orange squares. For the orange, I used Red Heart Soft, not Red Heart regular because it's scratchy as heck. Red Heart Soft, but I don't have any of that left, so I can't show you. I used a lot of yarn. I'm not sure exactly how much yarn I used, to be honest, in skeins. This size, probably used 3 or 4 brown, and then 2 orange, 2 yellow, and 1 white. That's a lot of yarn. I am basing this pattern off of a video I saw by Liv Huffman. I'm gonna show you how to make each block, and then we're going to make the trim. I bought these buttons from Hobby Lobby. I wanted them to match the yarn, so I grabbed this orange because I thought it would look really cute. We've got our squares, we've got our buttons. Let's lay it out on the floor and get started. So I learned how to make this sunflower square from the YouTube channel Simply Daisy, and I'm just gonna link her video here in the corner because I tried to explain it and it's kind of a confusing square and she just does an amazing job. So just head over to her channel for the tutorial on how to make this block. And here's how I made all of these yellow, brown, and orange squares. So of course we're gonna start with a slip knot where you go around 2 fingers up in between the loop, grab the tail and pull tight, and then put your hook through that slip knot. So the first thing that we're gonna do, chain 16. So a chain is simply where you yarn over and then pull through the loop that was on your hook. Well, not like that. Not like that, let me show you. You yarn over and then you pull through the loop. So I've done 2 and we're gonna do 16 of those. Once you have 16 chains, your piece is gonna look like this. So we're gonna skip the last chain that we did and we're gonna do half double crochets back across. So a half double crochet is where you yarn over before you go through your stitch, yarn over again. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. You're gonna yarn over and you're gonna go through all 3. So we're gonna go all the way across and there should be 15 stitches across. So once you finish those 15 half double crochets, you're gonna be at the end of your row. So you're simply going to chain 1, and then you're gonna turn your piece, and you're going to basically continue exactly what you just did, 15 half double crochets across, chain 1 and turn 10 more times. So there are 11 rows in total. So I drew out this rough sketch to act as kind of a pattern. So as you can see, I originally had the sleeves 1 square longer. I sewed them 1 square longer and then had to take them out. So make sure you measure your arms before you put together your cardigan. This is just me from the future. So I've sewn the cardigan together and the sleeves are way too long. So you just need to do 1 fewer row at the end here. So the sleeves now need to be 2 by 5. So just think about that, unless you have really long arms. There are 5 main pieces, the back piece, 2 front panels, and then 2 sleeves. And then there are 5 pieces of trim, of ribbed trim that we're gonna make. And then we will be crocheting trim along the neckline. And these are the final numbers of squares I made: 26 brown, 20 yellow, 21 orange, 27 sunflowers, for a total of 94 squares. So that's what you're gonna need as a base before you start sewing everything together. And this is not the final configuration and distribution of all the squares. I just kind of drew this to get an idea of how many I would make, but when I laid it out, I totally changed this up. Let's turn these into a cardigan. I laid out all the pieces, you guys. I made a lot of squares, so just so you know exactly what you're looking at. So these holes are where I still need to make a few yellow squares. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I still need to make 8 yellow squares, so I will do that. But this is a sleeve, this is a sleeve. So the sleeves are 6 by 4 each. This is the back piece, which is 6 by 5. And then these 2 are the panels that go over your chest, and they'll be split down the middle so that we can button it up. and those are 2 by 6. Those are the dimensions. For now, we're gonna start stitching the pieces all together. So the way that I'm putting all these pieces together is in rows first and then sewing the rows together. So this is the main back piece, and I've already sewn all 3 of these rows together. And as you can see, I have this row and this row. So how I sew the pieces together, I'll show you with these two. So these two go like this. These are the tops. So you're gonna have the front side facing in. Then you're going to use a yarn needle, and you're gonna use a piece of yarn in one of the colors of the 2 squares. So I don't have a lot of orange left, so I'm gonna be using yellow. And I go from the back through both, not the tail, to the piece of yarn. So then this is something that I really wanted to show you because it's been really helpful in getting rid of loose ends. So anytime there's a loose end like that, I'm going to stitch over it. So I'm going to be going through the orange side and then through the yellow side. And when I pull through, I'm making sure that this stitch is going over the tail and holding it down to my seam, basically, like this. So it basically ties it away for me so that I don't have to go back in and tie in that thread later, and I can just cut off any excess. And it's very helpful because then I don't have to go back and sew in all of these random ends, which is like super time consuming, and we don't have time for that. So once you get to the end, I'm simply tying all of these strings together. So now we have our 2 pieces whip stitched together, and then we just lay it flat the way that it was, and that's how you sew them together. So then the next piece will just go like this. Same process across the top, flip it up. So don't worry about sewing in all of these ends here because you'll do that when you stitch all the borders together. We're gonna use that same method. So let's go ahead and sew this piece to this one. So to attach the 2 rows together, you're gonna make sure the good sides face each other. I'm starting with a long piece of brown yarn for these long seams. So basically you're just gonna go from the back between both colors and pull through. Well, not all the way through. Hold on. Go from the back. You're gonna take the little tail and you're gonna tie it to itself. And we have these 3 tails here, and what I'm gonna do is as I whip stitch, I'm going to hold these tails like this so that they just kind of get sewn into the seam, and so I don't have to worry about going back and sewing those in later, and that will save me a ton of time. But that's just a little tip to help with some time management there. So we're just gonna keep whip stitching back and forth, coming from the back, going through both layers, trying to do even stitches so that it looks nice on the other side. And something to keep in mind with these squares is some of them may have stretched out. They might not all be the same size anymore. For example, this white one is way stretched out than this one because these are triple crochets and they just stretch out really easily. So when I sew this together, I'm going to make sure that the corners match up, and I'm just gonna pinch and pull and make this fit in here, and it looks totally fine. So yeah, you basically just repeat this process this entire time. It's a lot of stitching, it's a lot of tucking and making sure that you're doing it right and then ripping it out when you do it wrong. Put on, you know, your favorite movie or TV show, Survivor, and get to stitching, and that's like, am I one of the mice from Cinderella? Get to stitching. I don't know. Okay, get to stitching your pieces together, and it'll go a lot faster than you think, honestly. I'm already through like 1.5 of the panels and it's going a lot faster. So yeah, that's how I'm sewing the pieces together. So I'll be back when I have everything sewn together. Okay, so I have finished sewing all the panels. We have the back panel, 2 sleeves, and the 2 front panels. The next step is going to be making something called ribbing, which looks like this, and it's going to be basically along the edges. So for the ribbing, you're gonna make 5 different pieces. You're gonna have 1 piece that's around 19 inches in length. You're gonna make 2 pieces that are around 7.5 inches in length, and then you're gonna make 2 pieces that are both 10 inches in length. And when you have all those done, we can attach them to the other panels of the cardigan. Ribbing is really, really simple, so I'm gonna show you how I did this. It's a single crochet rib. So all you're gonna do is get the yarn of your choice, and I have chosen the brown. And then with that yarn, we're gonna make a slip knot by going around your 2 fingers, behind and through. And then for this ribbing, we're going to start with chaining 11. So So then after you've chained 11, you're going to skip the last chain that you did, and you're gonna stitch back across 10 single crochets. And a single crochet is simply where you go through your stitch, yarn over, come back through. You've got 2 loops on your hook, you're gonna yarn over again, and you're gonna go through both of them. And that is a single crochet. So you're gonna do 10 of those across. Your piece will look like this, and then you're going to chain 1 and turn your piece. So now we start the process to begin the ribbing. So if you look at your stitch, you can see there's like a front loop and a back loop. It's like 2 pieces for each stitch. So now for the next row of 10 single crochets, we're going to put our hook through only the back loop on the stitch, and you're gonna do that all the way across. And this is gonna create that raised look. So then next row, you're basically gonna do the exact same thing. Once you get to the end of this row, you're gonna chain 1 and turn, and then stitch back across in the back loops again. And just keep repeating this until you get the lengths that you need. And that's how you make ribbing. Also, once you're done making all the pieces, I'm going to do a row of single crochet across the top. And it doesn't really matter how many stitches you get, but that way it'll be easier to attach the ribbing to the base of a panel instead of just having it be the side of a piece of crocheting. So now I've laid out all the pieces, so I kind of played around with the configuration of everything until I found a pattern where none of the attaching pieces had the same colored squares touching them, because I didn't really think about that when I was organizing it, but it worked out. So I also placed the trim everywhere it's gonna go. So the 19-inch piece is for the back, the 10-inch pieces are for the sleeves, and the 7.5-inch pieces are for the front. So now basically we're going to use that same method that we used to attach all the other squares together to attach the trim, and then of course the same for all of these seams. Then we'll get to sewing the sides and the sleeves. Also, can you tell how long it's taken me to film this video by how many different nail colors I have throughout this filming? I think it's 3 different ones. So how you attach the ribbing is exactly the same way that we attached all the squares together. You put the 2 good sides, or the sides you want facing the outside of the cardigan, together, and I'm making sure that with the ribbing I'm using the side with the single crochet stitched row across. And as you can see, for the sleeve panel, it's obviously a very different size, so you're gonna start sewing it here, and then you're just going to begin scrunching it in. So basically what I'm gonna do is in every 1 stitch of the ribbing, I'm going to connect it to 2 or more stitches of the panel so that it all squishes in together and it makes that nice slouched sleeve shape. Okay, so once you have all the panels sewn together and all the ribbing sewn on, now I'm going to fold it inside out so that the inside of the cardigan is facing the outside so that I can sew the side seams. So now you're just basically going to do the same method, and you're gonna sew up the sides and the bottom of the sleeves. And then we're going to crochet the trim around the neck and then add the buttons. And then we are done with this cardigan. It's been so long. As you can see, the sleeves are going to be nice and long and baggy. Probably literally could have made them a granny square less. Oh well. You will not believe it. I have sewn it together. It's sewn! Oh my gosh, okay. Oh, I might need to go back and take some of this off. These are really long on me. I love it. The sleeves are way too long. So, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about that. I'm facing a dilemma because I have a couple issues where the patches on the seams are the same. So these 2 are the same. Then over here, these 2 are the same. I had a similar thing with the sleeves. Not that one, on this one. There are 2 the same. But I gotta tell you, I don't really care about the sleeves because that's underneath. That's in like your armpit. Nobody sees that. But I have some extra squares because I took an entire row off the bottom of the sleeves. So I technically could replace this bad boy with an orange, and I could replace this bad boy with a brown. And I think I'm gonna do it. I know that's insane to take this out. And then I think I'll just like leave this how it is. That 2 browns are fine. This is insane to take this apart, but I worked really hard on this cardigan and I want it to be perfect. The crisis has been averted. Squares have been replaced. So now the only 2 touching squares are these brown ones And I'm totally fine with that. A, because I'd have to arrange more than just those 2 squares because they're touching all of the 3 other colors to fix that. And B, because it's fine. For the trim that goes around the front and the neck, I'm going to start on the bottom right panel side, and I'm going to turn it so that I'm working from the back. We're going to be using our brown yarn again. Take our crochet hook, start with a slip knot. You're just going to go right in at the base of your brown ribbing. And now you're going to do a slip stitch where you pull through, yarn over, and then pull through, and that just secures the yarn there. You can also just knot it. Okay, so for the next 3 rows, we're going to do single crochets all the way up around the neck and down. Once you get to the end, you're going to chain 1 and turn. You're going to do it again. Once you get to this end, you're going to chain 1 and turn. You're going to do it again. That was 3 rows. And then once you're done with those 3 rows, for the 4th row, we're going to do something different for buttonholes. So come back once you've done that. It may be a few minutes. For you, it'll be a second, but for me, it might be half an episode of Survivor. So once you do the 4th row, so we did those 3 rows, and then I did the 4th row, I went all the way up around the neck, and I'm going to stop where my 4th and 5th square meet. So where the 5th square meets the 4th, I'm going to do a buttonhole, and then I'm going to continue to do buttonholes all the way down where each one meets. So this will change obviously for whatever size button that you have, so just have your buttons on hand so you can kind of see the size. Okay, so I want the buttonhole right over this seam. So we're going to do 4 chains, and then you're going to skip 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to single crochet into the 4th one and then keep going. So then I can test if this is the right size. It fits through, so we're good to go. So you're just going to repeat that process for buttonhole here, buttonhole here, a buttonhole here, and then a buttonhole right here. Once you're done with that 4th row and you've done all your little buttonhole loops, we're going to do 2 more rows. So you're going to chain 1 at the end, go all the way around, chain 1, go all the way around. So 2 more rows of single crochets. Do you know what this is? This is the last stitch in this entire project. And I am done. Okay, so cut your yarn, pull it through. Now we got a lot of ends to weave in, and I need to sew on the buttons, so I'm just going to use brown yarn and a yarn needle that can fit through the holes in your button. Make sure they're aligned with their respective buttonholes, and your cardigan is done. Well guys, it is done. The cardigan is done, and I absolutely love it. Took a very long time to make, but I think it was worth it. I still have a bunch of ends to tie in, but I don't want to do that right now, so I'm just gonna try it on, show you the final look. So this is the cardigan all finished, and I just put it on with a little dress. I was gonna walk outside and film myself, and then I got nervous, so we're doing it inside. So I really like how it fits. I can definitely see where if I make something like this again, I would make changes because it's actually not even big enough to button on me. So like the buttons are just kind of there for show, and it's just like an open cardigan, which is fine. But if you wanted the option for it to close, you'd have to like take that into consideration when you were making it. And also I keep reaching for pockets, and there are no pockets, and I think I could very easily put in some pockets. So that could be done to this cardigan or to a future one, but I really love the colors, and I love the big orange buttons and the sunflowers, and I'm also ultimately really happy that I went back in and replaced the squares that were touching weirdly on each side other than these 2. But I really love how it turned out. I think it's really cute. It's gonna be really fun, hopefully for next fall, because obviously it's like spring now, so we might not get to wear it a lot, but I'm really proud of myself for making it. It was really fun. It was definitely time consuming. Those are my reflections on the cardigan. I really love it. Here's a little montage of me wearing it so you can see it from all angles. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching me make this cardigan through the ups and downs. If you like to crochet, subscribe because I like to post a lot of crocheting videos. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the comments below. And I will see you all next Wednesday for another video. Bye guys. Hold on, did I do 16? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yes, I did. Look at me remembering things.